is an atzmi. He has the koyach atzmus. And this is why he is capable of distinguishing here in this world between pnimius and chitzonius. The principle of pnimius and chitzonius we discussed many times, and it is so fine and so elusive that the pnimius means something which is just the truth because it's true, not because of any quality. And only neshamas are able to identify that type of truth. Otherwise, you identify truth. Oh, it has a good thing. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. However you put it, it's right. This is the neshama in neshamas. This is the koyach atzmus in neshamas itself.
This distinction here is not based on any criteria, not based on any revealed qualities?
Zero.
And this distinction between Pnimi and chitzoni, is it the same as the difference between etzem and chitzoni? Pnimi here means etzem. What's more atzmi?
Pnimi, yes, Pnimi means it's representative of atzmi.
Rabbi Paltiel?
Yes, Baruch.
Ask a question?
Yes.
So we learned extensively that Shemesh Yisrael are mushrosh. And Asmas, even higher than this, even higher than this, even higher than this. They're mushrosh there. So this is still not a reason why Asmas chooses Shemesh Yisrael, apparently. But is this the same thing, basically? Is saying that they're mushrosh in Asmas the same as saying that they're the Bachira in Asmas? Is this the same thing? And if it's not, what's the relationship between these two things?
All right, so this is what we're going to try to read inside and point to the nuanced expressions, because that's all it is. There's no other, you can miss it otherwise.
This is a valid question?
It's a valid question, and there's a valid answer. But the question is easier to answer than to get the answer. So let's focus on that for a moment. All right. As a matter of fact, we are further down, but I want to go back in order to see this inside, and in order to answer Baruch from inside. I want to go back. The line begins with the word lemata. This is just below the middle of the page. And what this has finished saying is, but we just now reviewed, that here below Yidden, the Shomes and Torah is capable to be mevarer in here below, lemata, being a pnimis v'chitzonius. Even though below it is all mislabish and kelim, and they can identify this. When we call hanal, okay, here's the point which we really have to be careful how we read it. We call hanal yuvon, from all of the above, will be understood. Eich, the principle, as we explained many times, the expression eich, and this time also, I think Friday or Thursday we discussed it. Eich shenishomes Yisrael shorshon hu bibchines primis v'yasmas Yisrael. Eich means in this case, what is the significance? Please understand what I'm saying. What is the significance of the Neshamas Yisrael being musher in pnimiut v'yasmas Yisrael? Eich. In other words, in what sense? They're musher in atzmas Yisrael. What else do you need? What is the meaning of that? In what sense are they musher in atzmas Yisrael?
How are they mushrosh and atzmas and so? The Neshamas Yisrael.
And there is inyan that the mushush in pnimis in atzmus pnimis v'atzmus ein soif the hainu they're within the inyan from pnimis and atzmus ein soif. We say there is mushush in atzmus ein soif. What do we mean mushush in atzmus ein soif? We mean within that itself we mean something very very exclusive. The hainu that this means to say b'bchinas helam ha'atzmi de chochma hagduma. In the Helem Ha'atzmi of Chochmah Agdum. Helem, what is Helem? We discussed it in the principle of Helem. Again, you understand, Helem means concealment, which means innate, not something that expresses itself. As a matter of fact, when it expresses itself, you don't know where that expression came from. It's meant Helem. In our discussions, so to speak, something that will allude that will make us think of that, the sense of this inyan is this motion of the host and the guest. And we all understand that the presence of the host is extremely significant. But where is that perched? Where is that exist? What is it? It is behelem in the intellect. There is not a definitive place where that takes place. There is not a definitive issue that this alludes to. It's behelem. You can't even begin to explain what it is. Even though we're talking in a human being, in this world and so forth, that's what we're saying all the time. A human being is a phenomenal creature. He has a neshama, a godly neshama, or a human neshama, an intellect. So he's sensitive to things which do not express himself in any kind of a contextual and tangible manner.
Whose intellect are we talking about? The guest or the host?
And yet this is the most important thing to him.
Rabbi Paltiel? Hello?
Yeah?
You're saying this is the presence of the host is appreciated in the intellect of the guest?
The helem of the intellect.
Of the guest.
There's no intellectual explanation for it.
In other words, we're talking about the helem of the intellect of the one who is of the guest who's there.
Right. What? Yeah.
Not the host.
I'm sorry, Baruch.
Not the host, but the guest.
The helem of the guest.
Yeah, okay, good.
And it's called the helem in the chokhmah. So we'll use the same terminology to speak about the moshel, and then we'll go back to the nimshul. The one thing in chokhmah, as we discussed many times, and I'm going to step up from chokhmah and go into sight, because this is something which is clear to us. We can actually identify it, and it has these qualities, these elusive qualities. We are seeing something gashmi. Gashmi, by definition, is the tangible element. And if we encounter gashmis by touch, we have no question. I encounter it because it's there. Because there is a gashmi thing, it affects me. And this is how I know it. It's a separate entity for me, and I know it by the fact that it affects me. And then there is all kinds of different levels. Ultimately, as we speak, the pure sight. Pure sight is a pshat that I know it's there beyond any of its effect upon me. It is not due to effect at all. It is a sense. Sight gives me a sense that this thing really exists. As a true presence. What is the meaning of a true presence? A true presence, again, we're just going around the bush a little bit, because we're not going to identify it in words. A true presence means a presence which is not functionally identifiable, which is not effect dependent. In real terms, and where is that true presence come from? How come in this world there's such a thing? The answer is, it comes from because this world is a godly creation. God wants it to be, and therefore it is. God said, "You be," and it is. That's the extent to which this relates. This goes up to. It is there only because God said it's there. There is not an effect of its presence, and I don't see it because of its effect. I see it because it relates to the truth of existence. This is in sight, even in physical sight, there is that element. This is what we explained many times, that sight is what brings the reality of the world to the person. And if something that he even experiences without sight, he cannot satisfy it, because it lacks this reality element. As illustrated by the halacha, that Shabbos, you have the meal on Shabbos, you have to see it, because just the tangibility of it and the taste and satisfaction and so forth does not give that ultimate experience, the oinek of this food. Because oinek relates to the pnimis of the nefesh. It has to be real, and real, the fact that it's real is comes to the foreground, becomes aware through sight, not through the experience of it. And this is why we're saying over here that this truth is in Chokhmah, because Chokhmah is the same quality. Chokhmah, even though Chokhmah is like an observation, but there is nothing compelling this observation. It's not like it has an effect. You just recognize the truth of it, because it's true. That's why you see it, not because there's any effect on you. The Shomesh Israel have that quality, and they're rooted in Pnimi v'atzmos Sof. And now he says, what does it mean? Eich shel Shomesh Israel shel Shomesh. What does it mean there? Musha shel Pnimi v'atzmos Sof. There could be many this. Pnimi v'atzmos Sof has Pnimis and chitzoni, has Ein Sof, has all kinds of different qualities that you can identify therein. But when we say the Mushma Yad Pnimis v'atzmos Sof, Eich, what do we mean by this? It means to say b'bchinas Helem ho'atzmi de Chokhmah hagduma. It is in the Helem ho'atzmi. In other words, it is in the essential Helem. There is no presence to it. It's Helem. Just like we explained before, the union from Helem. There is no presence to it. And it is in Helem Ho'atzmi, the essential Helem, the Chokhmah Hagduma. All of a sudden, Chokhmah Hagduma is saying that this is, that Pnimis v'atzmos are Tainug. All of a sudden we say Chokhmah Hagduma. What is the switch over here of a sudden? Oineg and Rotzein, Pnimi is Hatainig, Pnimi is a Rotzen, have a message. It is that which Atmos is Messianic, that which Atmos wants. It's Pnimi is Hatainig, Pnimi is a Rotzen, but there is a message therein, there's a content. Chochma, Chochma, as we said, the primary quality of Chochma is Bittul. Let's put this a little bit in our terms. There are two levels of knowing something. And this we all experience, we can all understand this. There is, I know it, and because of, from my perspective, from my experience, and this I know it because of its experience, because of its truth, not because I know it. By touch, anything you know by touch, it is because of your own experience. When you know things by sight, by the pure sight, it is not because of your experience. You know it because of the truth of that. And this is the union from Chochmah. Chochmah has no presence of its own. There is not this in I know it. Chochmah has no presence of its own. Chochmah says, this is there, not I know it. Chochmah HaKduma, Chochmah HaKduma means pristine Chochmah. Okay? I'll try to give it a little bit of a tangible, of a body. What does pristine Chochmah mean? Normally, Chochmah is a derivative of Rotzen and Einig. Because Rotzen and Einig, that expresses itself in Chochmah that I actually recognize it. This means Chochmah, recognizing this truth. Chochmah HaKduma means pristine Chochmah, Chochmah that is inherent in Atzmut itself. In essence, Chochmah HaKduma, normally Chochmah refers to how something is known. Chochmah HaKduma is not how something is known, or how that something knows itself. That's what Chochmah HaKduma. Helem ho'atzim the Chochmah HaKduma. Now, let's talk about knowing oneself. Every human being knows himself. This is chochmah, this is intelligence. This knowing oneself what kind of presence does it have? Like, for example, any instant that you choose to think of your toe, you can think of your toe. And you realize, oh, I do have a toe. When you're not thinking of your toe, are you aware of your toe or not? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you are aware of your toe now.
Any other opinions here?
Yes.
Psychologist? Which one? Next to you or
You're not thinking about it, you're not aware.
You're not aware. Okay. Any other opinions? Okay. The absolute truth is, it lives because of your awareness. You would not have any chayas if you weren't aware of it. And when you think of it, you're not discovering something. You're just focusing on that which you already know.
That seems like a different definition of
And
awareness.
it does not take, it is not time and space dependent at all.
We always think of everything in us.
We don't think. Machshava and awareness are not the same thing. In Chokhmah there is everything. When you, going back to sight, if you see a whole expanse tens of miles across, thousands of miles, who knows how much you can see across. Do you think of every mile? You see it all. Machshava, this is a much lower, this is a levush already, this is a much lower level.
There's they're called subconscious.
It's not subconscious. Subconscious has to do with machshava, how it affects your action. It does not affect your action, this is your reality. Alright, enough of that. So this is what Chokhmah, Helem Ho'atzim de Chokhmah Hagduma. What is the point of Chokhmah Hagduma? The Rambam is describing, those who learn the Rambam is describing the various larger creations in existence. The first prokim, so one of the criterion that he attributes to them, which is hard for us to understand, but the Rambam doesn't attribute to them. Makirim es atzmon, they have cognizance of themselves. Or makirim es borim, and they have cognizance of their creator. One of the primary inyonim of intelligence, of the intelligent human being, of intelligence, a person contains all kinds of koiches and Ayin and so forth. The supreme element that defines him as a human being is this cognizance of the truth of his existence. This is called Chokhmah Helem. If a person becomes aware of whatever thing that becomes aware is as a result of some kind of experience, that's not a human being.
How is it said there? The thing that defines him as a human being is his
cognizance of his own reality, and not due to an experience of it. This is the minute a person wakes up, the minute a person, human being, came into the world, before any orientation, he instantaneously knew that he has a task to accomplish. That's the primary definition of a human being. As we say all the time, human being is in the world not to be, but to function, to accomplish a mission, a godly mission. This is the chokhmah, the innate chokhmah in the person. So this is what we're saying over here. The shomes are mushlish in pnimis v'atzmus of oyna gorotzen alki. What that means, this is referring to the helam ho'atzmi, the chokhmah hagduma. Chokhmah hagduma means a pristine chokhmah. What does chokhmah come into in a pristine level? Chokhmah has a function. It's a functional koyach. Where does chokhmah come into pristine level? The answer is that which does not have a pristine chokhmah is not a real presence. It's a presence on the animal level. What am I about? Am I real or not? That's chokhmah. That's a pristine chokhmah. A human being does not find out that he is human and he has a task after the fact. This is inherently his presence. Okay, enough. Not going to go any further. Just want to say. So this is what the Rebbe is explaining, and that's what he says. Lo rag bechinas haorach chitzenis habo b'ishtalshuls. Not just haorach chitzenis, an external haora habo b'ishtalshuls that comes to in ishtalshuls, also from Pnimi zorot and so forth. But this is a haora. What's a haora? Haora means the effect of it. I spoke many times. This is in Helam Asmi. There's not the haora in there at all because it's Helam. Chochmah Gduma. And then further, ubebchinas ha'tainug ho'atzmi, and in the aspect of tainug ho'atzmi, but we say all the time tainug ho'atzmi. No, but here he has a little bit qualifier of it. B'chinas ha'tainug ho'atzmi, k'moi she'kolu be'atzmusa yizborech. As the tainug is kolu be'atzmusa. What does it mean, kolu be'atzmusa? Not tainug, that is an estate of some kind of experience, some kind of expression, but a part and parcel of the atmos itself. Okay, so I'm going to stop here for a moment and discuss a little bit more further, a little bit more definitively, the sinyan of Helam Ho'atzmi the Chochmah and Tainuk Ho'atzmi Kishakol Be'atzmusay. Like we ask the question, what's the point of Chochmah Hagduma? Chochmah is for functioning purposes. What's the point of Chochmah Hagduma? And the same, so we're saying by human being also. Human being begins from Chochmah. All his koiches go through Chochmah first. This is what defines human being. Everything is first in Chochmah, and from Chochmah it's disseminated in everything else. And the same thing he says, Tanago Atzmik Mishakol Atzmusay. Where does Tainug Atzmi have to do with Kol Atzmus? Atzmus does not need the Tainug. Tainug is also on an active level. Rotzen is also an active level. What is between Kol and Kol Atzmus? So this is a principal element. The principle is this. And I'm going to take a far off example, completely from a much lower, completely far off example. You have a beam.
And what is this example meant to be an example of?
The principle, the Ayin that's kol be'atzim. Kol be'atzmus. I said I'm going to take the example is very physical and very far out, and now very distant from what we're talking about, but it is a reflection of this Ayin. A beam can support a floor, can support a house. How do we build whatever the building method is? A beam. Now this beam, prior to being incorporated in a building, it was lying someplace in the forest. It was also a beam. Potentially, it was a beam that could ultimately be cleared up and used in a building. Now, what is the difference between a log and a beam? It's an identical thing. A log and a beam is the same thing. A log, when it's put into a house, it becomes a beam. But a log in the field, that's not in the house, stands for nothing. It doesn't have a real presence. It stands for nothing. A beam, oh, that's it has great significance. And all its qualities are now utilized. Its size, its strength, its straightness, every quality has a significance. In Allah, none of these things have a significance. A beam, which is actually a log in a certain condition. All of a sudden, everything about this beam is significant. And in order to qualify as a log, it has to have all of these qualities. Quality as a beam, it has to have all these qualities. As a log, it doesn't necessarily have to have any qualities. A log means a piece of wood from a tree. A beam, all the qualities that go into that service a log are part and parcel of this log. In other words, the primary reality of the log include all the qualities that go into a log. Its strength, its size, whatever else that qualifies a log, everything. Even its durability, its hardness, everything. Going to this is part and parcel of that definition of a log, of a beam. What is this, so to speak, an illustration of? It's an illustration of the principle of something real. But that's the log. The beam is a log. It's an identical thing. But as a log, it had no real presence, no atom value. It stood for nothing. And therefore it stood for nothing, therefore it has no significance. It doesn't exist in real terms. And existence is something which is identified with your intellect. Oh, it's there. We can walk by and see hundreds and thousands of logs and not pay attention to it at all. They don't call our interest at all. A beam, that's something else already. So coming back, as we spoke about before, the human being. The human being is the first example. This is where that reality expresses itself, but in our experience mostly, because a human being, as I said, does not acquire a mission after he graduates college or yeshiva. He's born with a mission. That's what a human being is. He's born with chokhmah. He's born with full awareness of his presence. Because an etzem, he's an etzem, has all the qualities that complement the etzem. All the qualities inherent. That's what makes him an etzem. If he does not have, as you said, self-awareness, he's not an etzem. This is the principle of Helem Ha'atzmi D'Chochma. It is an absolute presence, and that is recognizable from the fact that he has Helem Ha'atzmi D'Chochma. He has full awareness of this. Remember the story I told you about our experience with a guest in the house who he was born retarded, and then through training, whatever it is, he was able to, as I said, overcome it, but he didn't overcome it in the true sense of the word. He overcame it to become functional. And as a matter of fact, as you said, he was a PhD candidate in mathematics. It was functional, but not essential. So, and he spent a lot of time by us. So we were sitting Friday night by a table, and he would doze off. Once, twice. Finally, I asked him, "Are you tired?" He says, "No." So why? I'm asking because you're falling asleep. There's nothing going on. Nothing going on. It's so significant, this experience here. Helem Ha'atzmi D'Chochma, there's always something going on. Nothing going on, but the reality, the awareness of reality is constant. He doesn't become aware of the reality when something pricks me. The minute you start talking, he's right there. He's smart, it's on the ball, so to speak, smart, whatever it is, superficial smartness. But there was something, a lack of reality, a real person. Helem Ha'atzmi D'Chochma, this is the identity of the reality of this entity. This is part and parcel of the etzem. That's what it says. What does tainug have to do with atzmus? Everything is kol b'atzmus. That's what an atzmi is. Atzmi is not functional. Atzmi is everything is part and parcel of the etzem. Oyneg and rotzen and chochma and everything. All behelem. Because it's incorporated in the etzem. And the Shomesh Yisrael are rooted right in there. This is now what we explained now. Eich. In other words, in what way do we mean the Ayin that is Shoshim Pnimius Atzmi? You mean in the Helem Ha'atzmi, which is part of this Helem Ha'atzmi is there because of the etzem, not because of the Einik. Not because there's a presence of Einik, there's presence of etzem, only etzem. This is the pshat that it's rooted in etzem. Let me just say one more line. So now we kind of landed. Bezehu the Neshamas Yisrael, and this is also the principle that we say Neshamas Yisrael yesh bohem hakoyach the Kabbalah soil malchus shamayim b'chinas bitl v'anochas atzmusei. This is the pshat, and the Shomer Yisrael, they have the koyach of Kabbalah Seir Malchus Shemayim. In what degree, what level Kabbalah Seir Malchus Shemayim? Not Kabbalah Seir Malchus Shemayim that if the Melech holds a stick over you, so you'll accept his rulership. Kabbalah Seir Malchus Shemayim b'bchinas bitul v'hanochas atzmusei. No personal decision in this Kabbalah Seir Malchus Shemayim. When he puts Atzmusei completely uninvolved. And we always point out this initial statement, Naaseh v'nishma, is a phenomenal statement. Bypassing the entire process of personal identity, personal involvement. They have this koyach. But this koyach leyesh, there is not the presence of this koyach habitul, this level koyach habitul, lohaniach esatzme legamri, to put oneself completely. Mikol v'kol. Mikol v'kol means totally and totally, leaving nothing out. Ki'ilu einoi b'mtzius klal. As if he were not a Messiah, as if he doesn't exist. It's completely a reflection of the Etz. Rag ben Neshama Yisrael levad. That capability exists only in Neshama Yisrael levad. Now, what happens when they're totally beaten? And as maniach atzmei mekol b'kol kino eino b'metzias klal, as if he is not a metzias at all. Does he then have awareness, or he doesn't have awareness? He doesn't exist. Does he then have awareness or not?
Yeah.
He has the awareness of the Yatz, not his own.
I'm sorry, could you ask your question again? That went by too fast for me.
He says that he as if he is not a Metzias at all. He doesn't exist at all. If he doesn't exist, is it awareness or not awareness? What's the answer?
He is aware of Atzmus.
The awareness is not his own, not through his own process, through his own experience, his own judgment. There's none of that. The awareness is the awareness of the Etz.
So, but always on a mushba sight, when we see a whole panorama, because we see the source of it. Is this the same?
Yeah, well,
I mean, same.
that's what a mushal. That's a mushal. A chochmah and so forth. V'hainu li'yoysom b'bchinas ha'pnimis v'atzmus, and that is because that they are b'bchinas ha'tzmimis pnimis v'atzmus, they are in the pnimius, and in the atzmus shebe'emes, where in truth einon b'bchinas mitzius hus acher klal. In fact, they are not a mitzius hus acher. They are not a separate mitzius hus acher. They are in the atom itself. This is what we explained the whole time. Etzem has all qualities, but not as a possession. This is the truth of the Etzem.
Doesn't meaning they're not as a possession.
You don't have the koyach of this or the koyach of that ability. It is inherent, like I said before, the muscle of the beam. Okay, you have to, really have an insight. The beam has all the qualities of
The beam. The log has all
a log, but no, not because it's a log, because it's a beam, because of its true presence. By a log, you ask what's its weight, what's its size. A beam, and all of these things go right. It's part and parcel of its own reality. For clarity, a beam in a house. What defines the size of the beam? Anybody can come up with a ingenious answer?
How it's going to be
You
used.
explained it before.
Huh?
Designer.
What decided?
The inside.
What defines the size of the beam?
Wow.
House.
Yeah.
Exactly right. Because that's all it is. It has all the qualities because of its essential truth.
I'm a little confused by what you're saying. Previously, it seemed that we were saying that the beam is nichlal completely in the log. In the log, the beam is called the atzmusai.
No.
Okay? So
No.
straighten it
The
out.
log is a non-entity. The log is a non-entity. I can't be said the log is a non-entity. He said the log and the beam are made of the same stuff. But it's a non-entity because it has no self-ID. It stands for nothing.
So what did we start originally saying that the beam is a muscle for?
For the principle of Chochmah, of Chochmah Hagduma. I'm trying to explain that in Etzem there is everything. A beam has all the qualities of what a beam is inherently, because it's being part of the house. The same quality as a present in the log, but the log has none of these qualities. In log you ask what's its size, how heavy it is. In the beam you don't ask any of these things. It's a beam of the house. That's everything is included in it being a beam of the house. Its size is predefined by the house, not by the beam.
The atzmus that it's nichlal and it's the house.
That's right. In these things, you miss one twist, and the whole thing comes out to a completely different picture. One nakuda. You know, it's like reading something without commas and periods. Wow. You can come up with a completely different story. I was learning by my Rebbe. I was learning Tanakh. I mentioned I learned Tanakh by. It was a very good Rebbe. So one time I asked him a question. I think a question shot in that by heart. I asked him a question in what's the meaning of these words. So he took out a Tehillim.
What?
A Tehillim. And he opened it up in the Kapitel. It says, "Naim lohem leyiru, was naim lohem leyazin." They have eyes and they don't see, and they have ears they don't hear. So he said, read it. "Naim lohem leyiru was naim." They have eyes and don't see the ears. So, do you see your ears?
So just to test it, since I don't have ears or eyes, what was the point
is in contrast to the beam. That was
It's not calling on anything and it doesn't stand
no.
for anything.
To contrast, to show the meaning. When you say a beam, you mean something completely different than a log. Even though it's made of the same stuff exactly. The log is made of that stuff. Log has that size. A beam is something else. All its qualities are predefined within itself, by its function, by its reality. Okay, I'm trying to use these mishalim. It's very difficult to explain these things. So I'm using these. You have to use a little bit of a, so to speak, a refined insight to understand. But they're valid mishalim. Bottom line, they're valid mishalim.
The mashal over here, the nimshal over here, is chachma akduma.
That's right. Chochma Agduma, is that a possession? No, Chochma Agduma is part of the Yetzim. Why does it need Chochma? That's part of its reality.
Chachma akduma is the beam. Yes?
Chochma Agduma is the size and the quality and the everything that goes into a beam that makes the beam worthy of its position.
And you're telling us all this to understand where it is that the Shemesh Yisrael are mushrosh.
Right. The Shemesh Yisrael are mushrosh in the beam. Please, let's not lose our seichel. I wanted to explain a very simple, though subtle, principle. It says there is Chochma HaGeduma, pristine Chochma. Why does Atzmos need Chochma? Chochma is a means to know things. Why does Atzmos need Chochma? Where is Chochma coming into Atzmos? Is it? So we explained that Atzmos and the real Etzem has all the qualities. Otherwise, it's not an Etzem. Even though he doesn't need it in order to enable him to do anything. He's not there for functional purposes. This is the pshat. He says like this: the Shemesh Yisrael, they have the capacity to beetle hanich legamri, hanich atzum mekol v'kol kiilo ein mitzias klal, as if it were he was not a mitzias at all, and that capacity is in the Shemesh Yisrael levad, because they are in b'chinas ve'atzmus in b'shebe'emas einam b'chinas mitzias v'hus acher klal, that in truth they are not a mitzias acher. So if they're not Metzias Achim, so are they aware or they're not aware? Are they Metzias? Are they for real or not for real? They're very for real. They're Etzem itself. Not a precarious Etzem, not a made-believe Etzem, but the Etzem itself. Because of their beetle. This is what we spoke about yesterday. That when we try to make sense of our activities, make sense of our life, we're missing the major point. The value of our life is not defined by the sense that it makes. into the fact that it was so chosen. That is the value of our life. This is what gives it this reality. As I say, the proof is right there in the pudding. People in our world, smart people, who have come down to the point that you have to be able to understand everything. They'll try very hard to understand everything. Have come up to the point where there is no distinction between a human being and an animal. I thought you understand everything. There is not a tangible difference between a human being and an animal. There's an inherent difference. And a difference in terms of representing the truth. Day and night difference. The human being lives with the truth and the animal lives with the world. But on the tangible level, it's nothing. What's the difference? I had it even from people who grew up saying that the human being is superior to an animal. Says, why? Why? Okay, so let's just finish this line. Where in truth they are not in the sense of a mitzias ach umhus acher. They're not a mitzias and umhus acher. Klau. They're part and parcel of the yetz. Gam and the Koran la meloi k'moi haora mehaora. Not even in a manner of haora mehaora, in some kind of a subset. There is no cognizance of the fact that there is a neshama there. It's one and the same thing with it. Okay, here's where we're going to stop today. Okay, have a great day. Yeah.